Now, I was going to try to be nice today, but after I listened to Mr. Burgess, I can't be. Um, you know, and I'm sure he's going to see this as personal, but I don't mean it that way. But I just I have to speak out, Mr. Burgess. Look, you were the chairman of this subcommittee the whole time that the Republicans tried unsuccessfully to repeal the Affordable Care Act. I have had so many meetings where I saw you come in and take out your copy of the hearings on the Affordable Care Act and repeatedly tell us that the Affordable Care Act was bad law, terrible law, it needs to be repealed. I saw no effort at all in the time that you were the chairman to try to work towards solutions and improving the Affordable Care Act. What I saw were constant efforts to join with President Trump to sabotage it. And the reason that this hearing is important, because the ultimate sabotage would be to have the courts rule that the ACA is unconstitutional, which is totally bogus. You found this, right-wing judge somewhere in Texas. I love the state of Texas, but I don't know where you found him. And and you did forum shopping to find him. And we know his opinion's going to be overturned, but we still had to join a suit to say that his opinion was wrong and it wasn't based in any facts or any real analysis of the Constitution. And the reason we're having this hearing today is because we need to make the point that the Republicans are still trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act. They're not looking to work with us to improve it. There were many opportunities when the senators, Senator Lamar Alexander and others, were trying to do things to improve the Affordable Care Act, to deal with the cost sharing that was thrown out by the president, to deal with reinsurance, to make the market more competitive. And at no point was that brought up in this subcommittee under your leadership. You talk about the employer-sponsored system. Sure, we all agree 60% of the people get their insurance through the employer. But those anti-discrimination provisions that you said are protected with employer-sponsored plans, they came through actions of the Democrats in the Affordable Care Act that said that you could not discriminate, for pre-existing conditions, that you had to have an essential benefit package. Those are a consequence of the ACA. So don't tell us that somehow that appeared miraculously in the private insurance market. That is not true at all. Talk about Medicaid expansion. Your state and so many other Republican states blocked Medicaid expansion. So there's so many people now that could have insurance that don't because they refuse to do it for ideological reasons. You mentioned the Indian Health Service. I love the fact that the gentleman from Oklahoma had that Indian Healthcare Task Force. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I asked so many times in this subcommittee to have a hearing on the Indian Healthcare Improvement Act, which again was in the Affordable Care Act, otherwise it would never have passed, and that never happened. We'll do that. But talk about the Indian Health Service. You did nothing to improve the Indian Health Service. I'm not suggesting that wasn't true for the gentleman of Oklahoma. He was very sympathetic. But in general, we did not have the hearing, and we would not have had the Indian Health Service Improvement Act but for the ACA. And finally, Medicare for All. Who are you kidding? You're saying to us that you want to repeal the ACA, and then you want to have a hearing on Medicare for All. You send me a letter asking for a hearing on Medicare for All. When does a member of Congress, let alone the chairman or the ranking member, I guess in this case, ask for a hearing on something that they oppose? I asked for hearings on things that I wanted to happen, like climate change and addressing climate change. I don't ask for hearings on things that I oppose. I get a letter saying, oh, we should have a hearing on Medicare for All, but by the way, we're totally opposed to it. It's a terrible idea. It'll destroy the country. Oh, sure. We'll have a hearing on something that you think is going to destroy the country. Now, don't get me wrong. We will address that issue. I'm not suggesting we shouldn't. But the cynicism of it all, the cynicism of coming here and suggesting that somehow you have solutions, you have no solutions. I'm more than willing to work with you. I'm sure the chairman, Escher, was willing to as well. But don't tell us that you had solutions. You did not, and you continue not to have solutions. And I'm sorry to begin the day this way, but I have no choice after what you said. I mean, it's just it's disingenuous. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.